Good morning, Tuesday, the 21st of May, and we're here to look at the astrology. So I'm going to go straight to the share so we can look at a map of the skies around our heads at the moment and the position of the planets in them. Or the map of the sky above my head, anyway. This is what will come round to you at some point today. Okay, so yesterday, I talked about the fact that the sun was in late Taurus and it would be slipping into Gemini. And here it is. It has slipped into Gemini. And this really changes the atmosphere. It changes the flavor of the environment. When I say flavor, I see that as being like an ice cream, a choice of ice cream flavors. You get raspberry, or you get strawberry, or you get vanilla. Because I have to find ways to talk about things being different without there being any pejorative or sort of dismal or negative effect. When you say higher or lower, sometimes that can have a sort of a hint of something not good. And so I find it easier to work in colours and say, well, this is red and that's blue. And then neither is worse than the other. So I use all kinds of different similes to this effect. So I'll often say, well, we've gone from strawberry to blueberry here. And then people won't think it's bad or good. Okay, so we have gone from Taurus to Gemini. So I think we've gone from, let me see, we've gone from raspberry to blueberry. Shall we put it like that? And it's a different element. And these elements at the end of the day are the things that are the all-important portions of the cosmos. Okay, now there's an interesting thing here. So the moon has moved from Libra. It was in Libra yesterday. It's moved into Scorpio. What I want to do, this is an animated program, which means I can move it back. I am going to move this back a few hours to last night because I want you to see how the solar system works. And in looking at our solar system, you're looking at our environment, our astrology, our home. So I'm just going to just move that, right. I'm going to go back in hours. Now, this will either send your hours all funny, your eyes all funny, because as you're looking at it, it's all moving, or just look away for a second. We're only going to move a few times. What I'm going to do is I'm trying to go back to 10 o'clock last night. So now this is how the sky changes, how quickly it changes. So what we've got now is we've got the sun on the other side of the earth, because of course this is the horizon and these are the planets above our head. So now we've got the moon up above us, but the sun's on the other side of the planet. And what I want to do is go back to, that'll do, 10 o'clock last night. Now, this can be 10 o'clock last night where you are. You don't have to be in the UK. There is a different perspective. The houses are different, etc. But this is still an example of precisely what is happening in your local environment too. This is the amount of change which is happening. And at some point, you will have had the circumstance where the sun has just gone below the horizon and the moon is in the sky, right at the top of the sky, whenever that was for you. Okay, so this is interesting because the moon is about to move sign. It's at 29 degrees of Libra. The sun has gone into Gemini. So we actually have the sun and moon both in the air sign of Gemini. Now, this was so very different just a few hours before because we had the sun in Taurus and we had, yes, that's right, the sun in Taurus and still the moon was in Libra. But I've changed the atmosphere, or rather, the atmosphere has been changed because the sun has moved into Gemini, so that's the masculine or yang part of our cosmos, has been moved into because the sun is a yang and a masculine planet, it has gone from a feminine zodiac sign into a masculine zodiac sign. So that has changed things. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted because my dog's snoring, and I'm hoping that you can't hear him. Poor Georgie. Georgie, stop snoring. Anyway, you may not have been able to hear it, so I might look as if I'm completely nuts now. Anyway, so the other thing that, yeah, the moon has moved right out of Libra. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this back to the present, to where I am now. And so I'm going to go forward. In fact, I'll just take it back to there. That's right. And then come back again. Right, so this is the scene that you normally see, because I record these videos in the morning. The sun has come up. So you would normally see this sort of thing, the sun in the 11th house. But I thought it'd be quite interesting for you to see how it works. Now we're looking at, yes, the sun's in Gemini. The moon has moved into Scorpio. So a baby born last night would have been born with the sun and the moon both in air signs. So we would have had a moon in Libra and a sun in Gemini. Just a few hours later, the baby is born with a sun in Gemini and a moon in water in Scorpio. So this stuff happens quite fast. And this is why it's very important to have your time of birth, because these slices of the cake called houses are changing very quickly, as you saw there. And so it's essential to have the right time of birth if you can get it. If you can't get it and you do want a reading, but you haven't got your time of birth, do speak to me, because I have a way of finding these things out, which is a relatively simple one compared to some of the very sophisticated, I would say, programs that you could get to do it. I haven't found those particularly right, but there is a simple way I do it, and I think this usually works. Anyway, so what are we going to talk about? Well, apart from the fact that we've just looked at some really cool stuff, we're going to think about how it feels when the sun moves into Gemini. Now, I'm bound to say this, aren't I? I am a Gemini sun sign. So what am I going to say? I'm going to say, oh, isn't it fabulous? Oh, when the sun moves into Gemini, everything feels so much lighter and brighter. Suddenly we can be frisky. Suddenly we can be voluble in terms of talking, although I'm not doing a very good job, am I? I'm stumbling over my words. Oh, that's because the moon's in Scorpio. I find it really difficult to talk when anything's in Scorpio. It's like I can feel it, but I can't articulate it. Anyway, sun moved into Gemini. This should lighten the atmosphere. The tendency to eat sweet things should now disappear, because Gemini is not interested in sweet things. Gemini is interested in information and talking and communication and connecting up with friends and selling and buying things. This is what Gemini loves to do, bartering. Gemini loves to go to a garage sale, I think you call them in the States. We have over here, we have boot sales, because we sell everything out of a car boot, I think probably is what it's called that. Anyway, so Gemini loves that kind of stuff. This happens obviously 12 times a year when the sun changes sign. And it gives us a rhythm. It gives us change. It gives us a natural experience of something moving on and changing. The other thing is the moon and sun are not consistently changing signs every year at the same time. The sun does, but the moon does not. It's not on the same cycle. So we can say for certain that on the 21st of May, give or take a day or two, the sun will move into Gemini. But we can't say, well, the moon's always in Scorpio when that happens. It isn't. And so this provides everybody with a unique and different set of potentials, because you'll have a moon in Scorpio if you were born today. Somebody born 3 years ago on the same day may have a moon in Capricorn. I don't know. I haven't looked at it. And so that's the differences which come. Okay. Now, anything else particularly interesting about today? I'll just finish by saying how it feels when you've got the moon in Scorpio and you've got the sun in Gemini. I think it feels difficult to talk, and it's because Scorpio is naturally not a verbal communicator. It is an emotional communicator, and it uses sophisticated emotional systems and signals in which to operate. And those are completely different to the ones in Gemini. So I'm not saying that Scorpio people don't communicate. I think they communicate exceptionally well, but in an emotional way. And it's all done subtly in water, like tides, if you like. And so it's they can actually change a mood without saying a word. That's Scorpionic people. People with a lot of Scorpio can change the atmosphere of a room without saying anything, because they have complete control of emotional tides, which are invisible and can spread around a room like putting ink in water without anybody noticing. Whereas Gemini has to talk and can alter things, change things by what they say. This is the obvious way to communicate, and it tends to be the one that gets appreciated in this world. Scorpio's way of communicating is so subtle, so complex, so invisible, and yet so absolutely on the nail. The Scorpionic people are masterful and have huge mastery when it comes to getting over what they want to get over without anybody knowing that they did. So, for instance, if you're with a heavily Scorpionic person, how many times you found yourself smashing the plates or slamming the door, and they're so innocent, they haven't done it, and yet you know that something's got you riled, and what else could it have been? It's got to be them, but how did they do it? Well, you see, they have this subtle way of rising your temper. It's anyway, we'll come on to such things at a different time, because I'm actually going to be starting a new series, a video series based on a book I've just brought out called The Easy Way to Learn Astrology. And it's going to be a video series that accompanies the book and teaches you how to read a birth chart. You learn how to do simple astrology and read a birth chart. I mean, it's all for free. You don't have to sign up or anything. I'm just doing it because I want everybody to know astrology. It helps so much. Okay, so I'm going to say goodbye, and I'll see you tomorrow. And I hope that wasn't too disjointed. It was lovely to talk to you. And as always, please, if you share, I'm so grateful. I hate asking. I'm only asking you to share, but I hate doing that. I really do. But it is kind of helpful, because it does put the numbers up, and then more people can hear the wisdom of astrology. I don't want them to hear me. Oh no, but astrology is brilliant. Okay, nice to talk to you, and I'll see you tomorrow, I hope. Bye.